When you look up at the night sky, you're staring into infinity. Or at least, that's what it feels like. No matter where you look, there are stars. Beyond the stars, galaxies. Beyond the galaxies, clusters upon clusters, stretching further than your imagination can comfortably reach. But here's the unsettling question. If the universe has no end, where does it go? It's a question that sounds simple, the kind a child might ask at bedtime. And yet, it has stumped humanity's greatest thinkers for thousands of years. The edge that isn't there. We tend to imagine space like a giant room, a container. Surely, if you travel far enough in one direction, you'll eventually reach a wall, a boundary, or at least some kind of end. But modern cosmology suggests that the universe doesn't have edges the way a room does. There's no wall to bump into, no cliff to fall off. The universe doesn't end. It simply is. So then, if there's no end, what does that even mean? Does it just go on forever? The shape of space. To really understand, we need to think about geometry on the largest possible scale. Take the Earth. From where you're standing, it looks flat. You can walk in a straight line forever and never fall off an edge. But the Earth isn't infinite. It's curved. Eventually, you'll end up back where you started. Could the universe be like that? If space is curved in the right way, then traveling in one direction forever could eventually loop you back around. You'd never hit an edge, not because the universe is infinite, but because it wraps around itself. Cosmologists call this a closed universe. It has no end, no boundary, and yet it's finite. The flat universe? But there's another possibility. Observations of the cosmic microwave background, the faint afterglow of the Big Bang, suggest that the universe is almost perfectly flat. If true, that would mean it doesn't curve back on itself like a sphere. Instead, it stretches out endlessly in all directions without closure. In that case, the universe really might be infinite. No walls, no looping, just endless galaxies receding further and further away. And if that's true, then asking, where does it go, is like asking, where does the number line end? It doesn't. It just keeps going. Infinity is not comforting. At first, infinity sounds majestic, awe-inspiring. But the more you sit with it, the stranger it becomes. If the universe is truly infinite, then every possible arrangement of matter must exist somewhere. Another Earth. Another you. Countless variations stretching endlessly across space. In an infinite universe, everything that can happen will happen. Not just once, but infinitely many times. So maybe the better question isn't, where does the universe go, but how many versions of it are out there? Expanding into what? But there's still a nagging problem. Astronomers tell us the universe is expanding. Galaxies drift away from each other as space itself stretches. So what is it expanding into? The answer is frustrating but true: nothing. The universe doesn't expand into a pre-existing space. The expansion of the universe is the expansion of space itself. New space is being created between galaxies, not pushed outward into something else. It's like baking bread with raisins. As the dough rises, the raisins move farther apart. Not because they're moving through empty air, but because the dough itself is stretching. The universe is the dough. Space is growing. And it doesn't need anything outside itself to expand into. Beyond the observable. Of course, we can only see a tiny patch of the universe, about 93 billion light-years across. That's the observable universe, the region from which light has had time to reach us since the Big Bang. But beyond that horizon? We don't know. It could keep going forever. Or it could curve back on itself. Or it could connect in ways that defy our three-dimensional imagination. Some theories even suggest that our universe might be one bubble in a much larger multiverse. In that case, asking, where does it go, is like asking, where does a bubble go when it touches another bubble? It might merge. It might pop. Or it might just float forever in a sea of other bubbles. Ancient perspectives. Interestingly, ancient cultures asked the same question long before modern science. The Norse imagined the cosmos as Yggdrasil, a giant tree whose branches stretched into infinity. Hindus described the universe as endless cycles, expanding, collapsing, reborn again. The Greeks debated whether the cosmos was finite like a sphere or infinite like a boundless plane. In many ways, we're still asking the same question. We just use telescopes instead of myths. The philosophical edge. There's also a deeper philosophical layer here. When we ask, where does the universe go, we're smuggling in an assumption that it needs to go anywhere. But maybe it doesn't. Maybe it just is. Edges, limits, directions, those are human concepts, born from living on a planet with boundaries. The universe may not play by those rules. To truly grasp it, we might need to let go of our everyday intuition and accept that reality can be stranger than language allows. If the universe has no end, what about time? There's also the matter of time. We think of the universe expanding through time like a movie unrolling. But relativity tells us that time itself is part of the fabric of the universe. It doesn't exist outside of it. So when we ask, where does it go? Maybe we're also asking, where does time go? And the answer might be the same. It doesn't go anywhere. It simply is. What it means for us. Why does this matter? Because the question of whether the universe is finite or infinite shapes how we see ourselves. In a finite universe, everything has limits, including us. The universe was born, it will die, and everything in between is precious because it's fleeting. In an infinite universe, meaning takes on a different flavor. Our lives might not be unique. Our planet might not be rare. But the very fact that we exist, here, now, in this corner of infinity, is still miraculous. The final mystery. So if the universe has no end, where does it go? The honest answer, nowhere. It may be finite and curved, looping back on itself forever. It may be infinite, stretching endlessly with no edge. Or it may be part of a larger multiverse, where end and direction don't even make sense. But maybe that's the beauty. The universe doesn't have to go anywhere. It already contains everything, stars, galaxies, us. And when you look into the night sky, you're not peering toward an edge. You're looking into eternity itself. So tonight, when you look up, try to feel it. The weight of infinity pressing against your imagination. The strangeness of a universe with no walls, no ceiling, no end. Because in that strangeness lies the most profound truth of all. The universe doesn't need to go anywhere. It already is everything.